So they go to Porky's, and Porky comes out, and Porky is like, and from here on out, I'm on Porky's side.
Okay.
But we're not supposed to be. Porky's this big fat guy. He's like, we want it. So these are like young kids. They're underage, but they sneak in, and they go, we want to see Porky. Like, there's one guy that like, kind of becomes the leader now. That I'm like, I don't recognize him from anybody else. They all look exactly the same. Uh-huh. He's like, I want to see Porky. And Porky's like, yeah, what do you boys want? I'm a big fat guy. And they're like, we want 5 girls. We want to go to Porky's Pen, which is upstairs, famously. We want to go to Porky's Pen. We want the 10 of it. They never get the math right.
Okay.
Like, the 8 of us want to fuck 5 girls. That's their opening offer. And he's like, 8 of you can fuck. This is really in the movie. He goes, 8 of you can fuck 2 girls for an hour or 3 girls for 20 minutes.
Like the Old West. Like they go in there like, we'd like a lady and a shower.
And they're like, okay, we'll take these 2. We'll take these 3 for half an hour.
Okay.
And he's like, all right. And this movie keeps doing this. He's like, okay, you go into this dark room and I'll send the girls in. And you're like, okay, movie, I know.
Ben just winked at me.
Wink?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, wink. So they go into a dark room and he hits a giant cartoon lever and they fall into this whole place. The whole...
Is this booby trapped? Is this also Home Alone?
Yeah, it's all Home Alone.
They
So he kicks him out, which he should do because they're underage children trying to solicit prostitutes at a fucking bar.
They're also haggling for these prostitutes.
So he kicks underage this man whose only crime is being overweight and poor. It's very, as the kids would say, it's very class coded. This poor man with a weight problem kicks these rich kids out of his bar, right? And so then this is like so funny. I don't know why the movie does this. So then they leave and they're like, okay, well that didn't work. I guess we'll go on another wacky adventure. And one of the guys has this look in his eyes and he's looking off and he's like, it wasn't right what they did to us.
We're like Rambo.
Suddenly it's a drama. He goes, it wasn't right. I'm going back. And they're like, dude, you can't go back to Porky's. He's like, I'm going back to Porky's. Let me He's just like they're talking to him. He's just like, he won't look at his friends and he's looking out the front window and he's like, I'm going back and I'm going to kill Porky. So he leaves and the movie just goes on with its little jokes. And the movie just goes on, right? And every once in a while, this fucking dude comes back more beat up. They're going on their little sexcapades, and this guy's like, they keep going, Mickey, stop fucking going back to Porky's. And he's like, it ain't right. He's like, it's like dramatic. He's like fucked up. He's like bloody, black eyes. Eventually he just pulls up again, and the door opens, and he just falls out of the car. And he's like, they beat me up again. It ain't right what they did to me. And they're like, you're not going to go back to Porky. He's like, I'm going back to Porky. And he's like, what the fuck do you keep? We're like, we've moved on. Maybe that's what Porky's is. It's like a metaphor.
Oh my God.
Porky's is the darkness you have to return to.
Porky's purgatory?
I don't know.
Purgatory Porky's.
This guy won't let Porky's. Everyone else has moved on.
Yeah.
And then finally they're like, all the girls are going to the shower. Let's go, boys. And they look in and they see all the girls and they're naked. Uh-huh. And even by today's, it turns out that never loses its effect. I was like, oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is a quaint movie, but naked girls, that always works. Timeless. Right. And then the girls now, they're like, they have their towels on, but they're like laughing. They're like, you perverts, you know? Yeah. And then the guy's like, hey, I think they like it. And he's like, so naturally he does what you would do. He sticks his tongue through the hole.
What?
He's like, if I stick my tongue through the hole, clearly one of them will just put her vagina on my tongue.
Oh my God.
And then I think they like put soap on it. And they're like,
okay.
ha, 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 right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, that didn't work. So clearly the next thing I should do is stick my finger. Of course, because it's the 80s and we're just fucking having fun, okay? Nothing has a message. Who gives a fuck, okay? So all the women leave. But the 2 buddies are looking in the holes and they're like, keep your dick in there. I think a hot girl's coming. And it's the big burly gym teacher. Uh-huh. And this is so funny. She grabs his dick and she's like, you're in big trouble, buddy. And she knows the guy. She goes like, that's Tommy Thompson. I recognize that dick anywhere. She goes, it's got a mole on it. Right? She goes, it's got a mole on it. Uh-huh. And she's like, and then it won't, but she can't go anywhere, but she's holding his dick and she goes, I'm taking you to the principal. And at that point I'm like, for a second I go, am I into this? Like, is this what I want?
Yeah.
I think I want a butch gym teacher to grab my dick through a hole.
And then have to just stand there while somebody else goes to get the principal.
Okay, but here's why. If this movie had been just this scene, it would be a great movie. It'd be a great short film. So then he eventually he gets free.
Because it goes soft at some point. So.
Yeah, maybe the whole time. You don't. And they do such a great job of not really showing the dick, but you kind of get a sense of it. Mm-hmm. So then
you get a sense.
The dick is like Jaws.
Okay,
it's implied.
It has a presence.
I feel like my dick is so menacing because you never see it.
Right.
My dick is the Jaws of dicks. Okay. So anyway, so he gets away, and the buddies are like, "We pranked you again." It's all sex pranks.
Okay.
It's all vaguely sex crime pranks, and then they run away, and then we cut to a scene, and this is the best scene, where this woman, this large PE teacher woman, she's like traumatized, but she's like determined. And she's talking to the principal. And we just see all the male PE teachers trying not to laugh. But she's like, look, I witnessed a crime. I need to see all the dicks. I need to see all the boys' dicks. And if you show me all the boys' dicks, the guys are like, what the fuck? Yeah. She's like, look, I need to see all the dicks if we're going to solve this. If you show me all the dicks, I can point out the dick with the mole on it, and I can positively identify Tommy Thompson, and we're going to nail his ass to the wall. And she was just like pleading with him. She's like, I don't want to see the dicks. I need to see the dicks. And then eventually one guy's like, what if we bring in a sketch artist? And that's funny. So this guy in the locker room, and he's supposed to be a jerk. He goes on this anti-Semitic thing.
Okay.
Right? And then this guy goes like, but I'm a Jew, right? And he's like, yeah, you're a Jew? I hate Jews. And he's like, but I am a Jew, and I love Jews. And they're like, let's fist fight after school to see who's right about the Jews. I guess to see who's right about the Jews. Okay. Like, if you win, the Jews are good.
A lot of pressure on this guy.
Anyway, so they get in a fist fight, and here's why the movie's cool. The Jewish guy, great at fighting.
Okay.
The Jewish guy kicks ass. And everyone's like, you're all right, Jew. But here's where the 80s and 90s, you're all right,
that's
Jew.
Where their progression ends. They're like, that's where
No, but here's why the 80s and 90s was actually more racially nuanced than today. Now there would be some long speech. Like, now it would just be like, racism is bad and you can't be racist. There's actually a conversation in this movie where he's like, look, Timmy hates the Jews a little bit. But he's our buddy, so we're going to keep hanging out with him, but we like you too. And the Jewish guy's like, okay, I get it. He's like, why can't Jews and anti-Semites hang out together? And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
He's like, we don't need to fix him, but there's more.
Okay.
Because it's cool, because it's like, we don't just dismiss the anti-Semite. Like, he has a redemption arc, which I don't think they would do that today. There's an anti-Semitism redemption arc where, and this is... the guy's dad shows up, and we know he's no good because he's got a leather jacket on.
Oh,
right?
Bad boy.
And he beats the kid up, and he's like, I heard you lost a fight to a Jew. That's not how I taught you. See, now we see the generational, see? And he's like, Dad, but he's kind of a cool guy, honestly. And he's like, you don't ever lose a fight to a Jew. He's like, that's not how I raised you. And also, earlier in the movie, he showed up again on a motorcycle and just beat the shit out of the kid and left.
Okay.
And I think he had like a young girl on the back of the motorcycle, which is never addressed. And this is the funniest thing ever. So the movie is trying to teach us to love Jewish people and to love each other for our differences, right? In 1981, very progressive. So the dad's beating the kid up, and then the kid
very progressive. So the dad's beating
the kid up, and then the kid says, "You know what?" And this is the big thing at the end of the movie. Before they go tear down Porky's, the kid goes, "You know what, Dad? You can beat me up, but I ain't like you, and I ain't never gonna be like you, because I'm not full of hate. I love people, and you know what? I'm not gonna judge nobody for who they are or for what they believe, and I'm not like you, Dad, and I'll never be like you, Dad, and maybe I'm not a man, but if being like you is being a man, I'd just as soon be queer." The past was doing its best.
That's the theme song.
Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. They were doing their best.